Look at all that meat, just waiting to be carved.
Hello, 4Beats here. So the qualifiers have come to a close, and we now finally know who of the fine young larvae of the NA Dota scene will be joining us for the meat grinder that will be Season 2 of the lower division. In typical NA fashion, I waited until the last possible moment to write and record this script, as I didn't want the information to be immediately outdated by the classic great North American roster migration that precludes every competitive season. Who of these fine teams look the best? Who looks the weakest? And who is most likely to get taken out after a demonic seance perpetuated by the ghouls over at Arkosh Gaming? I am here to give you the rundown as fast as possible so I can get this video uploaded before the games begin. Let's start with the new blood that fought through the open and subsequent closed qualifiers to secure a hard-fought spot in the lower division. These are the boys who made it through North America's prestigious open qualifiers and then went on to win the closed qualifiers. This was no small feat either, as this series of qualifiers really seemed to be one of the more competitive ones we've seen over the years. Let's quickly break down each team. D2 Hustlers, formerly the closed qualifier Hustlers, who were formerly the open qualifier Hustlers, are a veteran team consisting of Old Boys 1437 and Pandago as a support duo. Pandago is more known at this point for his role as a manager and occasional coach, so it's cool to see him trying things out with a new squad. 1437, or Fiveman as he's also known, is one of the only players still in the scene to compete at the first international all the way back in 2011. He's got a decent amount of top 5 placements at international lands as well, including a first place finish in 2018's Dream League Season 10. 1437 even led the legendary NAR v Dota lineup to an amazing last place finish at the International 2014, along with the King, the Snake King. He has played around the world since you were all knee-high to a grasshopper and personally makes D2 Hustlers a surprisingly scary team going into the lower division. Look out for these guys to upset some of the predictions you had going into the season. Picado is a much different squad than D2. They had a much rockier path through the open and closed qualifiers, with multiple matches nearing and exceeding the 60-minute mark. They upset typical NA, a team with up-and-coming pub stars like Double King and Rusi, that were probably favored to win. A lot of you watching are probably unfamiliar with the players on the team, so I'll guide you summer children through a couple of the standouts. P1 is your classic mid laner. You know the type. The one that'll pick Shadow Fiend and TA no matter how bad the matchup is or how bad they are that patch. But occasionally, I'll make them look good. He was able to make Queen of Pain look like a top tier hero not once, but twice in the closed qualifiers, having a perfect game and going 13-0 in the last game of the event. Keep your eye on this guy. On the other hand, I'll be very interested to see how their titular player and carry, Picado 666, fares during the season. He didn't necessarily look bad, but they picked him the most by the book and on meta carries through the open and closed qualifiers. You know, the juggernauts, the troll warlords. I'm getting sleepy just thinking about it. It'll be interesting to see if his hero droplet is expanded with the new patch, or if the team was just so nervous about potentially having a shot at the prestigious lower division that they played it as safe as possible with their carry picks. This team isn't nearly as scary as D2, and given how much scrimming the other teams in the league have been doing, I don't have the highest hopes for the Picado boys, but there's no reason they couldn't surprise people and have some parity with teams like Felt or Electronic Boys throughout the season. Now, these teams were brutally and embarrassingly humiliated by the teams in the upper division like a bunch of babies, and now have to prove their worth to the starving and vicious hounds of the lower division. For these players, this could be their redemption arc. Let's quickly break them down.
Oh no, not touching that one.
Fiveman Midas. Now, I'll be quick to admit that I didn't understand the hype surrounding this lineup going into Season 1. They looked like a bunch of pub stars who, by the grace of Gabe himself, I must assume, were able to get a tremendously easy road through last season's open qualifiers. And to be honest, that's how they looked in the upper division when all was said and done. Now you might be thinking I'm being too hard on them, but let me finish. I still think this team has some potential. The experience they gained from consistently playing against those upper division squads is invaluable and gives them a unique edge coming into the season. On top of that, after a series of very confusing roster changes, they've picked up young zygote DNM as an offlaner. The former mid for Sad Boys that people, including myself, are pretty hyped about. Given all this, I'd be willing to place them somewhere between Arkosh and Dogchamp coming into the season. But who knows, based on how DNM fits into the roster, they could turn out to be a top tier team this season. Now, what are your predictions for all the teams? Let me know. I'd love to have some discussions and power rankings to sift through in the comments. Or tell me why everything I said was incorrect. Go absolutely buck wild, you sickos. That's the video. I have some other small stuff planned to do throughout the season that you can check out through my Twitter and Twitch pages. You know where to find the links. I'm going to hold back on advertising the Patreon as much for the moment, as I'm unsure of how much time and production value I can devote to this personal channel right now. But don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. There will still be plenty of stuff for you goons to enjoy. See ya!